Terry Doherty, and I'm in the Mom's Choice Awards studio filming at Book Expo 2013, and I'm joined this afternoon by Clark Burbidge, award-winning author of 2 books, A Piece of Silver, A Story of Christ, and Giants in the Land, a young adult novel. Welcome to the studio.
It's great to be with you.
Giants in the Land is a fantasy fiction young adult novel.
Right.
Is there an audience, or is there a message that you're trying to convey to the audience in the book?
Well, 2 questions. First question first. 7 to 15, 16-year-olds is the primary audience.
That's a broad audience. That's exceptional.
It's the back end of the middle reader and the front end of the young adult fiction. The interesting thing, the response I've received from the book is that that age gets the book. The parents will read with it, read it with them, and then they sneak it away at night and finish it because they can't wait till the next night when they read it again. So it's got a fairly broad appeal, kind of a Percy Jackson, a Chronicle of Narnia, Spiderwick Chronicles kind of feel that can deliver a different message to different ages. But the primary message, to answer your second question, is to give children and young people hope that they can make a difference, that they have value, that it's worth all the effort that you go through in this world to become something more than you otherwise would have been. And I call that learning to live with the heart of a giant.
That's fabulous. I like that idea. I have an 11-year-old, so I'm day to day understanding that, trying to figure out who she is and who she wants to be.
How do I fit in? Where's my place? That's what this book, the whole series, is all about. Finding a young group, several young people, starts with one in the beginning and then expands to others as the books go on. Finding how they fit, what their destiny is, what it means to become a giant, and why that doesn't have anything to do with how tall you are.
That's fabulous. I like that. You've had the chance to share the book with, I'm sure, youth audiences. What to you has been the most rewarding piece that has come back to you in those opportunities?
And it's just that. It's the feedback. Because my opinion doesn't matter anymore because I'm too close to it. What I love is to get the feedback, and I put it on my website, from parents who've read it with children, but especially from the young people themselves. A 7 to 15 or 16-year-old who reads the book and says, I get it. I understand what it means. I know how to make that happen in my life, even though this is a fantasy setting. And kids are smart. That's why they have these challenges, because they're smart enough to know when the machinery isn't fitting right. But they're also smart enough to recognize when there are ideas presented to them that say, this is how you can make it work a little better. This is how you can make a difference and really feel the difference in your life. That's really exciting for me.
Now Thomas is the main, is it Thomas?
Yes, okay. He's the main character.
Yep. Now Thomas is the main character in the story. What makes him so special to you as, you're telling his story?
Well, we all have a little bit of ourselves and our own lives and people we know in these books.
True.
You can't do that without using your own brain, right? Thomas, what makes him special is he's like every other person. He's just a farmer. He's not the mayor. He's not a warrior. He's not done anything brave or amazing in his life. And when the giants that they've lived with their entire life and worked side by side with and become to depend on disappear, everybody's in panic and frightened. They're afraid to even go out and look for them because nobody's walked the wide world by themselves without a giant. Yet Thomas feels compelled to go on this search, and because nobody will go with him, he starts it by himself. And his town's depending on him, his family's depending on him, and he has no idea what he's going to get himself into. And that's the exciting part of it, that he takes himself from somewhere that he's comfortable, in his comfort zone, and he ends up way outside of it, discovering a lot more about himself than he does about anything else, including giants.
Well, you mentioned earlier that this is part of a series.
Yes.
Is there more for Thomas yet to learn, or has he sort of gotten the message and now somebody else is going to take over the lead role?
Well, Thomas continues. He's a young man in this
story,
but at the end of this story, without giving too much away,
I understand.
We see him complete his destiny and move forward, and he thinks everything's done because things turn out okay. So moms and dads, things turn out okay, no matter how scary it is. But the second book begins 17 years later with his grandson and granddaughter.
Oh,
and
wow.
The subtitle is called The Prodigies. And there are 3 prodigies in the book. The central one is his grandson, who's a teenage boy, who's named after the great hero, grandfather, and can't and doesn't want to live up to it. So he's hiding from that. And the second book is coming out in October, and it's about sudden change that can happen in our life that pulls us out of that distracted hiding place and can sometimes force us on a path where we too can find our destiny. And there are 2 other prodigals in the book, which I won't tell you who they are, but giants are there. Giants are here in the second book too, and they band together, and they, with an aging hero, which is Thomas, now in his late 50s, are all that stand between this great menace that threatens the land and the way of the giants. So it's pretty exciting. It kind of ratchets it up a little bit.
We are so glad to have you in the studio, and we look forward to hopefully to seeing the book in October.
Yes, I'll be excited when that comes out, and I'll make sure you get one of the first copies.
That would be fabulous. Thanks, Clark.
You bet.